بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. This is Math 101, first major exam, term 232. So let us have a look to the exam and solve it together. First questions are short questions. Find the domain of this function. Well, whenever we have a square root, the domain represents all possible values of x. So what can you replace x with would be the domain. So for example, if you can find f of 1, f of 1 would be square root of 3 minus 1 square root of 2. There is no problem with that. So 1 is in the domain. But if you try to find f of 4, for example, f of 4, it would be square root of 3 minus 4. That's negative 1. Square root of minus 1 is not a real number. So the calculator, if you are in the mode where the real mode will tell you that there is no answer. So whenever we have a square root, the domain would be whatever inside the square root has to be greater than or equal to 0. So this is an inequality. You solve the inequality and find the answer. You can take 3 to the other side, no problem. So it's positive 3. When you take it to the other side, it would be negative 3. Now you need to divide by negative 1 or multiply by negative 1. Whenever you multiply by negative 1, you should change the direction of the inequality. So x is less than or equal to 3. And to write it in interval notation, if this is 3, x is less than, so it's to the left of 3. The number line goes to negative infinity from the left, infinity from the right. So this would be the domain. So the domain is domain of f, the interval from negative infinity to 3 closed, because x is less than or equal to 3. Second question, this is a piecewise function, and we need to find f of 7. Well, if x is less than 0, this is the definition, negative x to the power 3. And if x is greater than or equal to 2, then the definition is 2x. So when he says find f of 7, 7 is a value of x. So now ask yourself, is 7 less than 0 or greater than 2? Of course, 7 is greater than 2. So to find f of 7, you use the first definition because 7 is greater than 2. So f of x is 2x. F of 7 would be 2 times 7, and that's 14. Solve the inequality. This is a linear inequality because x has power 1. So just expand 2 times x, and then 2 times minus 1, and then there is a negative 3 less than 4x plus 1. These are two numbers, we can combine them together. Negative 2 minus 3 is just negative 5. And now to solve this linear inequality, you put the variables in one side. So I need to take 4x to this side, and I'll take the number negative 5 to this side. So I have 2x here, and if you bring 4x to the left-hand side, it would be negative 4x. And I have 1 in the right-hand side. If you bring negative 5 to the right-hand side, it would be positive 5. 2x minus 4x, I can combine these two terms by subtracting 2 minus 4. 2 boxes minus 4 boxes will give you minus 2x, and 5 plus 1 is 6. Now we need to divide by negative 2. Whenever you divide or multiply an inequality by a negative number, you change the direction. So x would be greater than 6 over negative 2, which is negative 3. So x is greater than negative 3. Well, if negative 3 is here, and this is negative infinity, and this is infinity, x is greater than, so it is to the right of negative 3. So the answer of this inequality, x belongs to from negative 3 to infinity open, okay? Because negative 3 is not included, x is greater than, there is no equality sign here. Find the average rate of change. The average rate of change of a function is the slope between x, these two x values. So the definition of the average rate is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Well, this is x1 and this is x2. So I'll have 1 minus negative 1. This is x2 minus x1. And now the y of x2 is f of 1 or y of 1, okay, minus y of negative 1, x1. So this is y2 and this is y1. Now how to find y1? Well, this is the definition of the function. So I replace x by 1. So 5 times 1 squared is 5. And if you replace x by negative 1, well, negative 1 to the power 2 is 1. But you have to put it like this in the calculator, okay? Negative 2, you replace x by negative 1, you replace x by negative 1, and put parentheses and 2. So this will give you 1 times 5. So it's also 5 over 1 plus 1, which is 2. Well, 5 minus 5 is 0. 0 over 2 is 0. So the average rate of change is 0 of this function. I have two functions, f and g, and we need to find g circle f. Well, the definition of g circle f of x is g of f of x. This is the definition. We replace the circle by parentheses. And now to evaluate g of f of x, we write first the definition of f of x. So this is equal to g of, so we keep g of, and where is f of x? What is f of x? It is 2x squared, so we put 2x squared here. And now I need to find g of 2x squared. Well, what is the definition of g? This is the definition of g. G of x is 3x minus 1. So if I ask you what is g of 0, you will say 3 times 0 minus 1. So g of anything would be 3 times this thing minus 1. So g of 2x squared would be 3 times 2x squared minus 1. So the idea that you replace x by 2x squared. Whatever he writes here, you replace this x by it. So here you replace x by 2x squared. So g of 2x squared would be 3 times 2x squared minus 1. You can simplify this. If you multiply 3 times 2, that's 6x squared minus 1. So that's the answer. This is the cost function. And the question, what is the marginal cost? The marginal cost is the slope. The marginal cost is the slope. So where is the slope here? This is a linear function. You can write it negative 0.3x plus 2 if you like. So it is in the form y equals mx plus b. So what is the slope? It is the coefficient of x. So negative 0.3 is the marginal cost. We call it MC bar. This is the marginal cost. It is negative 0.3. So it's just the slope, the coefficient of x. Determine the horizontal asymptote. We have here rational function. Rational means polynomial over polynomial. There is a polynomial of degree 2 in the numerator and polynomial of degree 2 also in the denominator. If the two polynomials have the same degree, then the equation of the horizontal asymptote would be y equals 2, the coefficient of the highest power in the numerator. The highest power is x squared, and the coefficient of x squared is 3. And in the denominator, also the coefficient of the highest power. The highest power is x squared, and the coefficient of x squared in the denominator is -1. So 3 over -1, which is -3. So this is the equation of the horizontal asymptote. It's y equals to -3. Find the solutions of this equation. We have a property called square root property. Square root property says if u square equals to k, then u would be plus or minus square root of k. So here I have something similar to this. I have x plus 4 all to the power 2 equals 4. So u here is x plus 4. So I have really this form, u square equals to k. It's in front of me. So I can use immediately the square root property. It says that u equals. So if u square is x plus 4 square, what is u? Well, u is x plus 4. So I just write x plus 4 equals plus or minus square root of k. What is k here? K is also 4. So square root of 4. Well, square root of 4 is 2, so I have plus or minus 2. So I have two possibilities. Either x plus 4 is 2, or x plus 4 is equal to -2. So x would be 2 minus 4, that's -2, or x would be -2 minus 4, that's -6. So I have two solutions, -2 and -6. The profit function is given by this equation. Notice that it is a quadratic equation. So the profit function, in fact, I have x to the power 2. So let me write x to the power 2 first, the term with x to the power 2, then the term with x, then the constant term. This is in the standard form, the quadratic equation in the general or the standard form. Find the number of bikes, the number of bikes. So he's asking about what? About x. X is the number of bikes. So I need x. He needs the value of x, at which maximum profit is achieved, and then find the maximum profit. Well, the maximum profit is P or Y, okay? So we need to find x that gives a maximum profit, at which maximum profit is achieved, and find the maximum profit. Well, whenever you have a degree 2 function like this, the graph of degree 2 quadratic function is a parabola. And if the coefficient of x squared is positive, the parabola opens upwards. But here, the coefficient of x squared is negative. So this means that the parabola opens downwards. Well, this point is called the vertex, and it is the highest point in this case in the parabola. It is the maximum point up. So if we call it h and k, so h here, or x is h in this case, is the number of bikes at which maximum profit is achieved. The maximum profit would be k, okay? Because this is x here, so, and this is y. So x is h and y is k. So the number of bikes at which maximum profit is achieved is the value of x or h, which is, I have a formula says that it is equal to -b over 2a. Well, a here is -1, it is the coefficient of x squared. B is 88, it is the coefficient of x. So -b would be -88 over 2 times -1. And if you divide -88 by -2, you get 44. So 44 is the number of bikes at which maximum profit is achieved. You can write here that this is the answer of the first part. It is 44 is the number of bikes at which maximum profit is achieved. So if he wants to achieve the maximum profit, he must sell 44 bikes only. The second question, what is the maximum profit? The maximum profit is the value of K, the value of Y, the value of P. So when you replace X by 44, you will get the maximum profit. So actually he's asking about P of 44. When X is 44, you will get the maximum profit. So replacing X by 44, it is negative 44 squared. Now notice that now 44 has power 2. The negative is not having power 2. So plus 88 times 44, because X is 44, minus 1,200. You put this in the calculator and you write negative, then 44 to the power 2 without parentheses this time. 88 times 44 minus 1,200, the answer is 736. So the maximum profit would be $736. Okay, so this is the maximum profit. Write the equation of the line that's parallel to this line and passes through this point. Well, we know whenever he asks about the equation of the line, the formula is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. What is x1 and y1? The point given in the question. So in fact, I can immediately write it y minus 2 because y1 is 2 equals m, which is the slope, times x minus x1. The value of x1 is negative 1. Minus 1 would be positive 1. So this is the equation of the line, but I need to find the slope. Well, how to get the slope? He didn't give me the slope directly, but he said that the line is parallel to this line. You know, whenever two lines are parallel, they have the same slope. So the slope of my line, of this line, is equal to the slope of this line. So let us find the slope of this line, okay? So how to find the slope of this line? If we can write it in the form y equals mx plus b, then we can see the slope directly. It is the coefficient of x. So I just need to divide by 2. So y would be negative 4 over 2x plus 12 over 2. So actually the equation of this line can be written as y equals negative 2x plus 6. So the slope of this line is negative 2. And also the slope of my line is the same because they are parallel. Okay, so the equation would be y minus 2 equals negative 2x times x plus 1. That's the equation. That's the correct answer, the final answer. If you want to solve it for y, it's okay. If you want to keep it like this, it's accepted. You can say parallel means same slope. So you tell him that's why you used negative 2 as it is, because the two lines are parallel, and parallel means they have the same slope. If a firm determines the price of a product by 10.86, so this is the price that they are going to sell the product with, where the cost function, this is the cost function, find the equation of the revenue. Well, how to find the revenue function? We call it Rx. It is the selling price, which is in this case 10.86 times X. Well, X is the number of units sold. So if you are going to sell 100 units, you will get 10.86 times 100. Find the break-even point. Well, I have the cost function. I have the revenue function. To find the break-even, I just should put the cost equals to the revenue. So I'll have 8,000 plus 8.36x equals the revenue, which is 10.86x. This is a linear function. To solve it, you take the variables in one side and the numbers in the other side. So I'll bring 10.86 here, and I'll take the number to the other side. I'll have 8.36x minus 10.86x because I'm bringing it to the other side. So I'll change the sign. Also 8,000, when I take it to the right-hand side, it would be negative. Okay. Now I can combine these two terms because I have x 8.36x minus 10.86x. So just 8.36 minus 10.86 will give you negative 2.5. So negative 2.5x equals negative 8,000. And now x would be negative 8,000 over negative 2.5. And this will give you 3,200. So x equals 3,200. He said the break-even point. So let us find the value of y. Well, y you can find it either from c of x or from the revenue function because they are equal. So if you replace x by 3,200 in the revenue or in the cost, you should get the same answer. And this will help you to make sure that your answer is correct. So for example, I replace x by 3,200 in the revenue function. So I multiply 10.86 times 3,200, and the answer is 34,752. So this is y. So I can say that the break-even point is 3,200 and 34,752. Okay. So this is the break-even point. How many products must be sold to avoid losing money? Well, this is the break-even point. And how many products? That's x, the value of x. So if you sell 3,200, you will get your cost. So you didn't get any money yet. So if you don't want to lose any money, you should sell more than 3,200 products. More than or equal. If you sell more than or equal. If you sell, avoid losing. You will not lose any money if you sell 3,200, but you will not get any money also. Solve this system. This is a system of two equations and two variables. You can solve it either by elimination or by substitution. I will solve it by elimination. I like elimination more. So I'm going, although here, let me solve it by the two methods for the sake of reviewing the two methods together. I have 2x equals y minus 1. So I can solve the second equation for y. It's in fact 2x plus 1 if I take 1 to the other side. So now I can substitute in the first equation. Instead of y, I can replace it by 2x plus 1 because I found the value of y from the second equation. So 3x minus 5 times 2x plus 1 equals 2. I solve this equation and find the value of x. So I have 3x. And now negative 5 has to be multiplied by these two terms. So negative 5 times 2, negative 10x. And negative 5 times 1 is negative 5 equals 2. Well, 3x minus 10x is negative 7x. And I'll take 5 to the other side. It is 7. So x is negative 1. If x is negative 1, I put it here. So y is 2 times negative 1 plus 1, which means negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. So y is also negative 1. So the solution of this system x is -1 and y is -1. This is by substitution. By elimination, I will write this is the first equation as it is. And the second equation, I'll bring y to this side. So I'll have them written in this form, both of them. And now I need to add the two equations, but when I add, I need one of the variables to be eliminated. So if I multiply, this is -5y and this is -y. If I multiply the second equation by -5, look what would happen. The first equation, keep it as it is, and multiply the second equation by -5. So -5 times 2 is -10. -5 times -y is +5y. -5 times -1 is 5. Now, if I add the two equations, 3x minus 10x is -7x, and -5y plus 5y would be cancelled, and 2 plus 5 is 7. From here, I can get immediately the value of x, 7 over -7, which is -1. Now, if you put x in any of these equations, say in the second equation, so 2 times -1 minus y is -1, which means -2 minus y equals -1. So if you take -2 to the other side, it would be 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. So y is -1. And you have the same answer obtained by substitution method. So you can use any one of these two methods. The last question is a question about the quadratic function. Write the range. Well, this is a quadratic function because we have x to the power 2. And what is a here? A is the coefficient of x squared. B is the coefficient of x. And c is 0. There is no c here. What is the range? Well, I'll postpone the range. Let me find the vertex first. Well, to find the vertex, I find h. We said that h is -b over 2a. So -b, b is 4, so -b would be -4. A is -2 multiplied by 2, so it is also -4, so h is 1. Now to find k, I need to find f of 1. I replace x by 1, h. So -2 plus 4, so that's 2. So the vertex has coordinates 1 and 2. So this is 1, this is 2, this point has the coordinate of the vertex. Well, a is negative. So what I understand from negative, a being negative, the graph of the parabola will open downwards. If the graph opens downwards, so what would be the range of the function? So the graph will open downwards. It will go downwards, okay? So the range would be from -infinity to 2, because 2 would be the highest value of y, okay? It would be the maximum value of the function. Determine whether the vertex is maximum, minimum, or maximum. It is maximum, we said. Maximum. The x-intercept. Well, to find the x-intercept, I put y 0. So y is f of x. So I'll have -2x squared plus 4x equals to 0. So just put y 0 and solve the inequation. Well, I can solve this equation, by factoring. I take -2x as a common factor. So I'll have x here, divide. When you take -2x, why I take -2x? Because I have 2 and 4, so 2 is common factor. And from the variable, you take the smallest power. I have x squared and x. The smallest power is x. Now divide -2x squared by -2x. I'll have x. And divide 4x by -2x. 4 divided by -2 is -2, and x cancels with x. So there are two possibilities. Either -2x is 0, which means x is 0, or x minus 2 is 0, which means x is 2. So these 2 points are the x-intercepts, 0 and 2. The y-intercept is 0, because when I put x 0, You put x0 here, so y would be 0. There is no c, c is 0. So the y-intercept is 0, so you just need to sketch the graph carefully. Try to make it nice one, okay? So this is the graph of this function. Sketch roughly the graph, point out clearly the direction of the parabola, the vertex is there and the intercept, so everything is fine. That's the end of this exam. I hope you like it, and I hope you do well in your major. See you next time.